We first started climbing bridges in the 70s. Part of the credo of the Suicide Club was to experience what you were doing, and we didn't have a lot of recording. There were some photos and there were some videos there, or film done, but very little, because the basic philosophy of the group was if you were recording something, you weren't fully engaged in it. And so consequently, there's not as much documentary material about the Suicide Club as there would be for any art group. I mean, we never considered ourselves an art group. We were an adventure group. But and so consequently, there were periods of time when I didn't photograph bridges, and then short periods of time when I did. And I'm going to start off with just some photos and some stories too. You can tell me if you're getting bored, and I'll move on to the next one. This photo has nothing to do with bridges. This was found in a projector that on a dark passage event was found in some creepy abandoned hospital somewhere. And so and our backup projector was actually that projector, but we ended up using the galleries, which works a little bit better. So anyway, this is the San Francisco Bay Bridge. And this is the cantilever span on the Oakland side of the Bay Bridge, looking at the city of San Francisco and Yerba Buena Island in the mid-ground. And we used to climb this bridge. We started climbing it in the 70s. Same time we started climbing the Golden Gate Bridge. And it's a great place, and can't really go there anymore. These are some shots on the underside of the Golden Gate Bridge. As I was talking about in the little non-fiction piece that I just read some excerpts from, this kind of gives you an idea of what it's like climbing up from the base of the tower, from the concrete stanchion at the base up to the roadway, up to the road deck. And this is inside one of the vertical box beams, which are really cool. It's open, as you can see on the bottom. Now the vertical cross pieces below the roadway of the Golden Gate Bridge are open on the bottom, as you can see. Once you get above the roadway, there are horizontal cross pieces, as I described in the story, and they're completely enclosed in plate metal. This is looking up from the concrete stanchion, where my pee almost rolled out onto the top of the stanchion. Looking up at the cliffs above Lime Point. That's where when we first started climbing the bridge, we'd go up on top of this cliff. And it was about 15 feet below the road deck, and we'd throw a rope up over the lower cord of the road deck support and climb up, and then we'd go out on the box beams, walk out on the box beams 200 yards or so to the tower. And then it took us a long time to figure out how to get into the tower, and then it took us a while to figure out how to get to the top of the tower, because the shafts there's only one ladder shaft that actually goes to the top of the tower. It's very hard to find. So we spent probably, I'd say, 20 trips just going up and down thousands of feet of ladders and getting lost and not knowing where we were. And we spent, I don't know how many times, literally at least 20 times the first year, exploring before we found the route that would take us to the very top of the tower. We were able to get out on the 3 horizontal cross pieces above the roadway. This is taken from the 3rd horizontal cross piece above the roadway, looking up at the 4th and top horizontal cross piece. And these photos were taken in the mid-'80s by me on solo trips. I'd always usually climb the bridge with people in the Suicide Club days, and then in the 80s, during the heady joy of the Reagan years, the Suicide Club and other groups had kind of dissipated, and I was just off doing things on my own. So that's why I took up a little bit of photography. And my day photographs aren't really that good. I like my night shots better, but we're just doing it mostly for posterity. This is a shot from the second. This would be from the 2nd horizontal cross piece above the roadway of the Marin Tower. As you can see from looking at it, there are 4 horizontal cross pieces, big chambers. They're huge, especially the lowest one right above the roadway is a gigantic chamber. It's bigger than this building. You'll see later in some Verrazano narrows shots that they have much bigger chambers than the Verrazano narrows bridge. I'll tell you about that. This is looking at Marin County, land of hot tubs and really expensive pot. This is looking straight up from one of the lower cross pieces up towards the cables. It's looking straight up. And it's looking down at Marin County again. And another one looking at Fort Baker, decommissioned military base in the Marin Headlands, which our government, in one of the very few things they ever did that was right, made into a giant park a while back. the top of the tower, looking to the sea. This is a night shot taken from the lower chord of the road deck support, looking down on the Line Point. That's the Line Point lighthouse, and you can see the detail of the diagonal braces between the lower two posts of the marin tower. And this is, I took some shots of it up there. This is like July 4th in 85 or 86, and there's some photos later on that are similar to these. Anyway, another shot looking at San Francisco. And this is another evening shot from one of the horizontal cross pieces, looking at the towers, probably about 500 feet above sea level. And this is taken from the top of the tower again at night. Looking down the cable. This is we didn't do many portrait shots on the bridge. Like I said, in the Suicide Club days, we took almost no photos of the bridges. There were a few. There were a few people who kind of broke the rule and shot photos. But this is from this would be 1983 or 4. With Joe Weinstein and his girlfriend Shelley and John Gilmore, who's a friend of mine, who's one of the people who started the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and has been fighting for your right not to be spied on by the government, with his millions of dollars that he made as employee number 4 at Sun Microsystems when he retired as a rich hippie computer designer. He's a great guy, and he's come on fine for this. And the next set is some various bridges, different bridges in different places. This is the Lion Gate Bridge in Vancouver, BC, which was completed in the late 20s, and it's a narrow road deck bridge. It has 2 lanes on it, about 400 foot towers, and it comes off the end of Stanley Park, which is one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's an incredibly beautiful city park. And this bridge, Vancouver's like out in the Pacific Northwest, and there's incredible wildlife, and it's a very, it rains a lot, and it's a very kind of a rural feel to the area. And this bridge, I climbed it by myself. I was up there visiting on business or something. I was up there visiting. I thought I'd climb it, and the bridge is in pretty bad shape. What are you laughing at? And it's funny because I went up the tower leg, and when I got to the top, see these bridges, most of the old steel bridges made in the 20th century have oval hatchways that look kind of like something you see on a submarine. Of course, they're not watertight, but they're, you can lock. Most of them have locks. Some of them have locks. Some don't. Often the bridges weren't that well maintained in the 80s. And so they'd just be open, like climbing Golden Gate Bridge. We actually did get keys for the Golden Gate Bridge twice, but this is over the course of 25 years. So there are 2 times when we had to go and pull one of the doors, pull a lock cylinder in one night, take it to our friendly locksmith at 3 in the morning, have him make a key, and then get the door back in before dawn. We did that twice. So finding this bridge, the hatchways were all wide open on it, and they're all completely open. I got to the very top of the tower, which you can see, and this is a shot taken like midway up, which is kind of a M.C. Escher sort of view of the bridge. And there's some catwalks you can see that go around the top of the tower there. But anyway, I got to the top, inside the tower leg, in total darkness, and there's an oval hatchway there. I tried to open it, and the sucker wouldn't open. It just wouldn't open. It opened about 2 or 3 inches. It was like there was something on the other side of it keeping it from opening. And like I said, the bridge wasn't very well maintained, so I had to climb back down, I don't know, 100 feet, get to the cross piece, cross over to the other tower post, climb up to the top of that to get out on the top deck of the bridge. And when I did that, I walked over to the door on the other side to see what had been jamming the door closed. It was a massive osprey nest. Wow. Giant osprey nest stuffed into this 3-foot wide, corridor blocking the door. So that's that bridge. This is a shot taken looking down from the Lion Gate Bridge. And another shot looking across the top at the cable saddle and the beautiful Pacific Northwest. And let's see, what do we have next?